Welcome to another video here at Peterson Restorations. I got started, as you can see, I ground down the spot welds and then I air hammered off the original roof skin. So now I'm just going to show you exactly what I was talking about with the roof rail channels. If you were going to replace roof rail channels on yours, how they're actually welded underneath the roof skin. So if you wanted to change them completely, you'd have to take off the roof skin. So that's what I'm going to show you here. I have those fully exposed now. You can see there's the old roof, and here are the roof rail channels. So your roof rail channel is starting here at the bottom where it meets the top of the pillar, wraps around, it stops here on your bottom side. You can kind of see right there, there's a line, and then it continues up on the top side, right there. See if it focuses in. Well, come on. There you go. You can see it starts there and the channel runs the whole way up to the front here. And it ends right there, and then it goes back on the bottom side again, where you can see I ground down these, and it continues down to your front A-pillar top. So really, to change your whole thing, it is one piece. You would have to expose this by taking off your roof skin to get to these spot welds underneath that. You can see I marked already with a Sharpie. And I always mark my spot welds with a Sharpie. That way you go ahead of time, find all of them, you mark them so that you can see them easily whenever you're going back with your safety glasses on, so you don't miss any whenever it comes time to air hammer that off. So now what I'm going to do is grind down all these spot welds like I did on these, air hammer that off, and then I'll work on cleaning up all of what's left of the spot welds. You can see there's just a little bit of an edge left from grinding them down with a cutoff wheel. So I'll go along, clean all that surface off that I'm going to weld onto, and then I'll come around here with all of this down that's exposed and hit that with the ripper wheel, the wire wheel, air powered wire wheel that I have, and then I'll go around and paint all of that like you've seen that I did on the inner structure there on the back side of these quarters. Paint all that so it's nice, coated, protected for the rest of its life. And after that, once it's dried, I'll be able to stick the new roof panel on. So there's not much to it, but you'll see when it comes time to it. I'll put the new roof rail channels in first. I'll mock the roof skin up to it to make sure that my channels sit where I want them to. And I'll just pop that roof panel back off, and then I'll go ahead and weld all of my holes that I'll make to recreate basically how these are spot welded on. I'll do the same thing by just welding that new channel back on there. So you want to do these welds before you got to set your roof skin on, before you clamp it and weld that for the final time. So there is a process to doing these cars, so one piece fits before the other. So hopefully that helps you out if you're doing something similar to your car. The coupes will be the same way. So what I'm going to do is go around, clean up all the rest of the welds, grind down all that surface rust, and then spray it so I can get ready to put the new roof on. So I went ahead, prepped the roof, put the holes in it that I'll be welding, and I stuck the roof rail channels up in place just to show you what I'm doing. You can see I just screw them in place like I do with the back end. But really you're just kind of lining up the seam here from this post to the new channel. It's just a smooth transition, you know, it's flat against it the whole way. And I went ahead, threw the roof panel up on top and just checked the fitment of it just to make sure that the lines are where they need to be. And it just wraps around the back there. What I do is I'll set the roof in place, clamp it all down, and I'll weld the entire roof panel on, you know, the back side, front side, along these roof rail channels on both sides, and then I'll go ahead and finish by clamping and welding this back trailing piece of it, and then the front going down the pillar. I'll do all of that last, once I get the entire roof welded on. And one thing you want to keep in mind whenever you're doing your front end is this roof rail channel can move. I mean, you can see it's flexible, almost where it butts in the whole way to the pinch weld there. Sometimes I've had to trim them out to get them into where I want them, but really it's about a 1/2 inch gap or less. You don't want to be over a 1/2 inch gap there going up the whole way. It should be nice and smooth, same distance the whole way here down to the bottom. And then sometimes also I've had to trim off the ends of the front or the back to make them correct. So if you have your drip rail trim molding, hold that up and check it before sending it to paint, because if you have to cut that after it's painted, you don't want to blow sparks all over fresh paint. So those are just some tips whenever you're doing something like this. So I'm going to set the roof up in place, and then I'll clamp it all, weld it, and then we'll weld the rest of the drip rails. So I'm going to set that roof up on top. So I'm sorry to say I did jump ahead. This roof tied into 3 different days because of different stuff that I had to do on different days. But I ended up getting it all welded in place, which I'll show you, and I jumped ahead to other things. I did some small brackets, so I apologize for not capturing some of that stuff. But the next video will also catch you up to exactly where I'm at right now. But I just wanted to finish off this video by showing you the roof up in place, and I have all those welds already ground down. And what I want to say in that video, I think I had it out of sequence from what it looked like there. You got to weld in your roof rail channel where I had it screwed in place before you stick on the roof. Otherwise you can't weld those shut, which is obvious, but I just wanted to make it known just in case it seemed off in the video. But those were welded, and then I put the roof on, welded the roof, and then I went down these channels and welded all of that. So that's what you're aiming for in the end. Everything's welded up across the pillars. I just do a continuous across there so nothing can move. The same with the back end, which is something that I should go over. I did fill in holes that I made to weld shut and welded it from the inside there. And I also, you can see I welded the entire span, much like I do on the front apron panels. If you've seen that video, I'll tack every couple inches, make sure it's cooled off, and then tack a couple inches. Don't want to overheat it to warp anything there. But to me, I believe that that's important, just so there's no overlap panel that's not welded down tight. So then whenever you use either you re-lead these in or some sort of filler, that it can't crack out because those panels aren't fully welded. So it just avoids any kind of further issues, in my opinion. So sorry about jumping ahead. I'll catch up in the next video. I didn't get that far ahead. If you actually look at the car, there's just lots of small brackets that I welded in place. Fixed a couple small things, put seat platforms in. So look forward to that video. Thanks for watching this one, and see you in the next video.